Peace and blessings be upon you all, guys. Welcome to another episode of the Baraka Boys.
For consistency, though.
Yeah, listen, this is a lot better than season 1. Okay, this is what episode. I don't know what episode we're on right now, but we're doing well. We're doing well, and we're gonna end it on an interesting. I don't know if we're gonna actually end. Wait,
we might do more.
We're gonna actually end
Depend on how we feel on dining.
We're not gonna end it this one. Do more.
This might not be the last episode.
It may be
we might do more. You never know.
Phases of producer.
Whatever episode this is, we thank you for joining us. And today we're talking about a concept which I think a lot of us has gone through during our lives as Muslims, as growing up, maturing out of certain immature beliefs. And one specifically is the based on, I don't know how to kind of word it. It's based on the hadith. Well, you can explain the hadith and then we'll kind of go into it and how it kind of led us to have quite an immature understanding of Islam. And intolerance, that's a good word, thank you.
Yeah, the hadith talks about like the Jews, the Jews being split into so many sects, and then the Christians being split into so many sects, and then Muslims being split into 73 sects, and only one of them will be granted Jannah or paradise. Yeah. Only one of them will be granted paradise. So going on that, naturally, everyone wants to be. And people call it today Firqatu Najiyah, which is like the saved sect. Yeah. Naturally, no one wants to burn. Everyone wants to be the saved sect of Islam. Yeah. So naturally, that comes with claims. So every group will claim we are the saved sect because we are closest to what the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and his companions were upon.
Yeah.
So now, being that, naturally, that creates a kind of imbalance and insecurity in your own faith. So because you are claiming to be the saved sect, naturally, what does that mean for everyone else? Everyone else who's not upon what you're upon is going to hellfire. That's the basis of it.
I remember hearing that as my early years of starting to practice the deen. And it was a film with so much anxiety, like, oh my God, like, even if I do think I am, like, how do I know? And it's like, why would the Prophet ﷺ say that, knowing like the amount of like segregation and divide it's going to cause by saying a statement like that, which then led me to believe, did he even really say it?
So that's a very good question that the scholars of hadith debate. Many scholars do accept it. Many scholars have issue with the wording. Many scholars say the first part of the hadith is true, as in
the Jews.
The people will be split into sects. However, them being one, all of them being hellfire bar one. Most scholars say that's not true. And then
seriously, most
Where's
scholars.
your
scholars
bro? Where's your delil?
Where's my delil?
Is that the, so the ijma is that?
No, I'm actually with this. Where's your delil? Like, who said
Many
this?
scholars say this. For example, Ibn Taymiyyah says, we have a lafad. So that with that wording in it, they say finar, in the fire, that doesn't exist, for example. And many scholars then debate, okay, what is it then? And then many scholars then say, however, it's not a literal, it just means that Muslims are going to be divided, for example. And they have a discussion on hadith. I think we can go into a whole discussion on hadith, but I feel like people feel like hadith don't exist in a vacuum. The Prophet wasn't just stand up one day and say, guess what, guys? Everyone's going to be split and one's going to be in hellfire. There would have been a context to that, for example. There would have been a reason why that came about. That would have been a part of a greater conversation. And people forget the conversation, take the snapshot of that hadith, and then try to extrapolate a whole ideology out of it. And that's the issue we have today. Alhamdulillah, the great muhaddith, who's obviously controversial, but he's Ibn Hazm, he says that hadith is fabricated. And he has reason why I believe that's fabricated. So I feel like personally, I don't believe the Prophet even said that personally. And again, I don't even think it makes sense personally.
Faisal, what's your experience with that kind of people who would operate from that mentality of like, are you number 63 or number 53? It's irrelevant anyway because you're gonna burn anyway. So as long as you're not the saved sect, which is what I'm upon, I'm going to treat you a certain way. Or do you have any experience with people coming from that mentality?
Yeah, man. I was, to a degree, one of those people. Like, actually.
Wow.
And this is where I have a lot of compassion for human beings that exist within this. I just pray we can become aware and come out of it. But spiritual maturity, like, is a cycle. Like, having an identity and learning who you are in the world is a cycle. Once you accept something and you're starting to form an identity, you have to have an other in order to understand a sense of self. And sometimes there's a period of like accumulation of that. So I'm gonna be, for me to be this, I can't be that, I can't be that, I can't be that, I can't be that. And then after a while, all those values, they kind of crystallize, and then you let go of that same intensity after a period of time. I've noticed people who are extremely aggressive, later on down the line, have a manner to calm themselves down. It's just a process that doesn't maintain. I've never seen anyone like, I've seen a few people actually, very unique cases maintain it, but generally no one can. But the issue then is when you're a teenager and when you're a young person and you're trying to understand yourself and trying to understand your relationship with God, Many
your
other
place in
people
the
are,
world.
and your place in the world, many other people are in that same condition, and it's really difficult, man. It's difficult to narrate because I come from a like Sunni background. Then I find out about Salafiyya, for example, and then if I find out about Salafiyya and I start practicing that way, it then I end up distancing myself from Sufis. But if I'm, for example, Deobandi and I'm raised in that way, I'll distance myself from another school of thought just because of like culture and where I come from. But as I've grown older, the reality is like we're all so connected, and there's so much you can learn in the exchange of our cultures. Even though it comes from the same religious source, I feel like our religion is like a jigsaw or a glass that's been smashed, and all the different sects have different pieces of it. And when we come together, we can exchange norms and values and get more holistic image. But we're too busy fighting to actually see, what do you have? What does your school of thought?
We're too busy focusing what makes us different than what actually unites us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What kind of, like, were you like a very intolerant person who used to say that, oh, these guys are going to be burning in the fire, I'm the only person who's on the correct path with my group?
I started Islam, like, for seeing Islam as this like rainbow explosive, look at how rich it is from Turkey to all these different places. Then I started practicing. Then the more I started practicing, the more there were less people I could engage with. And I didn't know it was happening. I'm like, as I'm getting deeper into learning about God, it's almost like I'm cutting myself off from that which isn't good for me. But what ends up happening is I ended up isolating myself off everybody except for the same people that thought exactly the same way I did. If you don't think the same way I do, you're different to me, and next thing you know, we can't connect anymore. My friend who's my childhood friend, you're not, even somebody who's Muslim is praying alongside of me. Now the extra bits of knowledge I know, I can't connect with you now. And it got really...
Or you can't pray behind that, like someone...
Yeah, if you're not doing this, or I'm gonna then correct you about your prayer, because if you don't, like, it's odd. And then after a while, it became so much that I didn't have many friends. The only friends I had were spieling the same thing. And then my ego became unwell because I wasn't getting anything fresh, no information, fed the same thing, and I just had to break out of that, man.
Break out of that, no.
But I feel like it just speaks to a level of immaturity in faith.
Yeah.
Because, for example, when you're trying to carve out identity, you want to carve out identity that's based on what you believe to be true, and then you're going to obviously exclude people who are not upon it. But again, it's a sign of immaturity as well, that when a little bit of knowledge can be a dangerous thing, because the little knowledge you have, you feel like you have to enforce it on yourself and enforce it on everyone around you. But what I find from my teachers, the elder you get in that knowledge and the maturity you get in that knowledge, the more you delve into it, the less you actually want to talk against other people, because you think to yourself, it can be seen in so many different ways. There's some great Maliki scholar, his name slips my mind, Ibn al-Mazir al-Majishun. He says that I got to a stage in my knowledge where I no longer saw anyone do something haram anymore. Because I saw this person following this opinion, this person following this opinion, this person following this opinion. And that is the great tradition of al-Islam, deen of Islam, deen al-Haq. But speech, brother. No, you know what I mean? That is the kind of legacy of Islam. People want to, find that down to be, okay, only me and my imam are upon this truth. You man are all on batil. You know what I mean?
It feels great to think that way. It feels incredible. Like after a while, like you're thinking everything I'm doing. After a while, I'm actually saved. Like, you know what? I'm doing things right. I'm not like you guys. And then you feel like there's something.
But the question is then, do you not
man.
feel like certain personality types and traits of people are more in line to join a specific type of group? First of all, might just be purely because of geographical location in the world. So if you're going to be from Pakistan, you're either going to, or Southeast Asia, you're going to find either Deobandi or Brahui schools, who of course got a sect. If you're going to be West African, you're going to be Maliki, whatever it may be. But however, what you find, let's just keep it real, in the West now, you're going to find Afro-Caribbean young men, usually, not always exclusively, but sometimes have maybe a harsh background, come from a background of maybe crime, for example, or not even just crime, just from the hood. They're going to be inclined to the Salafi way.
Why do you think that is? I was going to say, do you think, because I the same way I know people that would be inclined to the Salafi way, because they all look fucking whatever it is. And all of this and let's go Hyde Park, and they like tell these man that they're on it, and it's like you're still incorporating that street life into religion. And one thing that we always used to say is like this. That's not just the Salafi thing.
No,
But it's not the Salafi thing as well, because I just said, because it's also the thing of certain Sufis, when some people might like the nice nature and the loving nature of Sufis, and the fact that because they've had such a hard background or whatever, that they find comfort in that. That's what my mom was.
No, but people
do you know what I mean? And that being said as well, there are Sufis out there that are like really do you know what I mean, like aggressive, and Salafis that are nice as well. It's not. It's just a general thing.
People find comfort in being cliquey and being amongst their tribe naturally, and obviously that tribe is going to be made up of what you find in common with somebody. So it makes sense. But my question still remains: why do you think certain? For example, if you go to South London, like we all know, people who grew up in London, or even just in general in the West. Back in Jahiliyyah, DVS, PDC, there was a group of people who were all friends before Islam, and then they're all on the roads, and then they became Muslim, but they adopted a specific type of brand of Islam, which was mainly Salafi way. Is it because it's simplistic and it makes sense? Is it because they feel that they have to atone for what they did in the past and
I
they're
just
harsh
feel
on
like
themselves
it's
now?
access. I just feel like two major things. I feel like it's access. So like when you're in prison, for example, and then you want to learn, or even just as a young person and you want to learn about the deen, you get presented with what I like to call pamphlet Islam. So like there's a pamphlet with bullet points of, okay, this is what we believe as Muslims, this is shirk, this is bid'ah, this is da-da-da-da-da. And it's very simple. You just pick up the pamphlet, you read it, you're like, okay, this makes sense, this is Islam, da-da-da-da-da. Not knowing the history behind all of that, not knowing the history of the development of all of that, not knowing how people get up to this stage, and then it's just presented to you as, oh, well, it's just Quran and Sunnah, it's just Quran and Sunnah, it's just Quran and Sunnah. And then it's like, when you don't have that in-depth analysis or that ability, and that's all you have as a reference point, you build up your basis on that, and then you don't even want to interact with other sects because you're told immediately, like, one of the first things you learn if you study like pamphlet Islam here is 73 sects, 72 are going to hellfire, make sure you're part of the safe sect. What is the safe sect? It is what the companions were on and the generation after them and the generation after them. How do you certify that you're following what they're following? You have to listen to this scholar and this scholar and this scholar, and that's all in the pamphlet. The first day you're learning about Islam, that's what you learn. It's not, these
you
are
haven't
the
even
five.
mentioned the law yet.
Do you know what I mean? It's not, this is the fiqh of wudu, or this is the da-da-da-da. It's make sure you're part of this.
Your belief's on point.
Yeah, make sure your belief is on point according to what this scholar's interpretation of Aqidah is. So it's like when you get put into that box now, you're not even going to interact with other people. So you won't even be open. Like I remember I've posted like quotes of, Imam Ghazali or this or that on my Instagram. Someone will pop up like, astaghfirullah, bro, I heard you're not meant to quote from this guy, he's a mubtadi. Or you're not meant to quote from this guy, he's misguided. And I'm like, have you ever read any of his books? Do you know his real name even?
No, but the thing is,
his story?
Totally, but the thing is, it makes sense because let's be honest, if we're going to talk about sex in Islam, obviously there's more. First of all, we have to expand the discussion first from Salafis anyway, but we can come on to that. We can come on to that anyway. But speaking on the Salafi movement, it is a sexy dawah movement. It appeals to people. It's simple. Faith should be simple.
But the reason for that
but
is
the thing is,
because
it's not simple though.
It's an identity thing though, because like what you were saying, Mamadou, I think before the pamphlet Islam, you see people who speak the same languages.
Like in Birmingham, for example.
Who come from the same background as you or have the same culture as you. Like for me, for example, initially when I started practicing, I went into this, I was Salafi for a while. And the reason for that was because I couldn't relate to the mosques, the non-Salafi mosques, because all the imams, they didn't speak English.
Me too. When I moved to Birmingham, when I started jumping in the deen, even though I was Salafi for a little while, but it made sense. I go to my local masjid, the bayan before the khutbah is in Urdu, and the khutbah, which lasts about 30 seconds, is in Arabic. And people there they don't look like me. I can't relate to anything. They don't even have a young people go to their mosque. Mashallah. May Allah continue to put Baraka in the masjid, like Green Lane Masjid, for example, and other mosques in Birmingham, because at the end of the day, where I may have my theological differences with them, which I still do, and even the brand of Islam, which I am inherently kind of opposed to. However, as for what they do for the community and bring people together, they're unparalleled in Birmingham.
Yeah, 100%.
They're unparalleled in Birmingham. They have like itikaf for like sleepover with all your young Muslims for 10 days, which is all free for you to. Food's prepared for you. They have conferences for young people.
All in English.
All in English.
A lot of the leaders are young people as well.
Young imams.
It's not all.
You know what I mean? The conferences are amazing. They have whatever it is. Now, that aspect is amazing, which I feel like other communities haven't got onto. And again, you go to these places, you're gonna find. I remember just saying to myself back in the day, I went to Shurak of like Green Lane, and you see like Air Maxes, TNs, I see nice crepes like like Louis V, whatever, Gucci, okay.
And then you steal them.
Boy, and then you go to like another mosque in Birmingham, you see like these green, these yellow Crocs.
Tripled.
Crocs, I'm like, blood, nah, fam, I'm not trying to be like that, innit? Like, that's not me, innit? So I kind of feel that as a community and what they've done is amazing, and I feel like don't let your hate, maybe your opposition to what they preach, blind you so much that you can't see the good that they do.
No, and I remember me and Khalid.
Good point.
Thank you. That was really
I remember me and Khalid used to say like the fact of what we used to. Obviously, like, well, speaking for myself, I'm a very hateful person. I'll admit it. And I remember I didn't like it because I always thought like they were taking people down the wrong path. They were making people more aggressive. But the thing is, if you have people that, because what I tend to see, people follow a similar pattern. They're on the road or whatever. They join Salafism, blah blah blah, and then after like a few years, they sort of evolve out of it. So more so of the thing, like if people are using this, and I started to see it as like people are kind of using this as a stepping stone.
Exactly.
And I was like, if it's a stepping stone, I said it's fine. Do you know what I mean? Even if it's the be all and end all, like Allah made people of different levels, and I'm not trying to say I'm higher than anyone higher than anyone in their level, but I remembered it was a problem with me that I was trying to demand more out of people that they again, like, because some people, like, you know, like some people, like, they like the idea of a 9-to-5 job and a house and a family and and that's okay. Like, not everyone has to be an entrepreneur or a rapper or a singer. Like, it's not for everyone. And it's the same with Islam. You've got the Bedouins. They just wanted to know what's the minimum we have to do. All of these things. And the same with Islam, Iman, Ihsan. It's like these are people as well. Yeah. And the people that follow these people are more inclined to Ihsan. I just want people to know when you join this, and acting like it's the be all and end all, you'll find out that some people will crave more, and there is.
I think so. What you're essentially saying is that we're talking about unity over uniformity. So we're saying that we can still
how does that look if they're all together?
No, but not unity, so over uniformity. So like we can focus on what we are agree upon, which is we agree there's a book that Allah has revealed.
There's so much we agree on.
And there's a prophet, and the prophet that we all accept to be.
And there's the Sunnah.
And the Sunnah. We all accept that. Now how we come to understand that, we have differences in, but that's not a cause, should not be a cause of division anyway.
And that's the big point that I don't like about the whole sectarian thing. And people like to pinpoint Salafis as the main culprits of this, but I feel like it's every sect has
100%. No, I'm coming for smoke for the Sufis, don't worry.
Yeah. What I'm saying is, like, what you said about unity over uniformity is that when people have this whole safe sect mentality, they now think that they are the gatekeepers of Jannah. Yeah. And anyone that doesn't agree with the way their scholars have interpreted the Quran and the Sunnah is therefore one of those people that's going to hellfire, and then they like to please other people and attack other people for not being in uniformity with what they believe. And that's what I find wrong, because even if you look at the basis of that argument of the hadith of, okay, they are upon what the companions are upon. How do you know what the companions are upon? Because none of the companions were ever united on one thing.
Exactly.
So it's like,
fallacy.
They were united upon the fact that we all believe La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. After that, you have, for example, just simple debates of Isra Mi'raj. Did the Prophet see Allah? Ibn Abbas is saying he did. Aisha is saying he didn't. Do you know what I mean? Basic things of, can you pray with clothes that have semen on them? People are saying, oh, you just scrape it off. Some people are saying you have to wash it. All the differences we have in fiqh, all the differences we have in how people pray Salah, it all comes back to the companions seeing and knowing different things. And I feel like, but they're fiqh issues that stem from differences of opinion, because different people see different sides of the same deen, and there's no space allowed for that. So it's like, now you can't say, oh, there's this way and there's this way and there's this way. No, it's my way or the highway kind of thing, and that's what I don't agree with. And one of the things, sorry, let me finish my point. My thing is that none of the Sahaba were ever, like, so for example, imagine the Prophet ﷺ is there. There's Sahaba that only used to see him, there's Sahaba that will see him every day, 5 times a day for prayer. There's Sahaba that will only see him once a month because they don't live in Medina. There's Sahaba that only met him once, and all they know from the Quran is whatever surahs they picked up on that trip, whatever ahadith they picked up on that trip, and they went back. So their way of practicing is going to be completely different from someone that's living with the Prophet.
And it wasn't wrong either.
And it wasn't wrong, and it wasn't thrown away. So then people now have taken 300 years later, when Aqidah books have developed, Hadith studies have developed, all of these things have developed, and they've formed their opinion of Islam. They're like, okay, well, if you don't do it my way, you're completely wrong. When the way you're doing things is completely different from how the majority of the Sahaba were doing them. So then how can you now say you're on the path of the Sahaba when you're not?
But see, that's still, when you, like, the fiqh issues here are minor. But if you're a Salafi now and you believe that what somebody is doing is shirk, or it's a bid'ah, and you believe that the Prophet ﷺ, which he did say that, every innovation is misguidance, no misguidance leads to the fire, how are you going to then say, okay, you know what, guys, you can interpret it this way, we'll interpret it this way, and it's still going to be
Because I feel like
if you still believe that what they're doing is misguidance, that's going to lead to the fire, which means that you believe that they're ruining the religion, they're not practicing, and they're spreading a false version of the religion according to you. So how can you unite?
But I feel like even that's very infantile in your conception of that, because okay, kullu bid'atin dalala, every bid'ah is a dalala, so therefore you shouldn't be teaching Aqidah, because Aqidah was never taught by the Prophet in the way that people teach it now. You having bullet points of this is what we believe, 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 and then forming an Aqidah and kicking people out. No, but I'm saying, I'm saying that people need to move on from that understanding of the deen. Like, people think that, okay, you can pick up Sahih Bukhari, when really there's Sahaba that narrate hadith in Sahih Bukhari that don't know the hadith that other Sahaba narrate in the same book. You've gathered two different opinions and put them in one book. This person and this person have completely different ways of... So if you met this person now and they didn't know about this hadith, you'll be attacking them saying that, oh, what you're doing is wrong, and what you're doing is a bid'ah, and what you're doing is this and that. When really, do you know what I mean? It doesn't make sense.
But they can just, look, I'm playing devil's advocate here. They can just turn around and say, well, you can move on from that understanding of the deen. We can all unite under what we believe is true Islam taught by the Prophet ﷺ.
But this is the problem. They're going to say that, but the problem is, again, this is the reason why I left Salafism quite early, because I found it to be very... it's very infantile and it has a lack of nuance in that. So, for example, totally, and this is just the fact it is. When I was like young and I had questions like, oh, why don't you believe accept it to be the truth? Was the answer? Was the response? I'm just like, yeah, but I want to know the whys and the hows and how you do this. No, why do you need to know that for? So I'm thinking, life is too complicated for a religion to just have no nuance in that anyway.
You see, my experience was different, because I felt that, especially in the beginning, it was the Salafis who gave dalil for everything that they said and did.
Yeah.
We do this because the hadith is here,
Ask better
and it's been authenticated by this sheikh. We talk like that, do you know what I mean? So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that as well, and that's one good thing that I like about the Salafi movement, is that you're forced to always reference it back to Quran.
But the thing is, you can say that, but again, I don't, even though I praised them before, but the thing is, let's not think of because Salafi give the lil for everything. All madhabs who have been around for 1200 years have evidence for what they do. Yeah. So the thing of this claim of Salafis came and now they're the ones with dalil. No, that's not true. That's not true. Every madhab, they have a whole book called Fiqh al-Maliki wa Dillatuhu, the Malik madhab, and its evidence for every single practice that they do. But because Salafis have somehow, championed the ring of Quran, Sunnah, Aqidah, Tawheed, and Hadith, all of a sudden they're
and because they championed it, you're scared to say anything against it, because what they'll say is, oh, you're not going against me, you're going against the Quran.
Yeah, but the Prophet.
You've got a different interpretation.
And everybody reads the same Quran and everybody reads the same Hadith.
And then you're the one interpreting it and they're going to disagree with you.
I think a bigger issue here is that I feel people are losing their connection and relationship to Allah because of this whole sectarian thing, because they see it's one of two ways. Either the community that they're a part of they can't relate to, and they can't develop a relationship with God in that community, and the community who do understand them and they feel are too harsh towards them, so they aren't being catered for there either. So for example, now you have Green Lane who do a lot of stuff for the youth, but it's not inclusive in the sense that you can be any type of guy and just walk in like that. And so then where does that person go? Because he can't go to his local mosque where the imam doesn't even understand what he's saying. Yeah. And so you burn out and you just think that I don't belong.
We should have a rule. For a major mosque in Britain, the imam should be able to speak English. If you cannot speak English, then you cannot be an imam in this country. And if I was in government, I'll implement that.
Seriously,
100%. In major mosques, not local community mosques.
But be bilingual, but also be bilingual.
Of course, be bilingual to serve your community. Yeah. Speak level of English that's decent, fam. I've had imams in this country who are in major mosques and they can speak English, but it's not coherent.
Yeah, I've been in khutbahs and I've been listening, and it's only halfway through the khutbah that I realised the person was speaking English.
That's not right.
One of the reasons why I was mentioning that point is because, with the whole cave thing, we were I was speaking to a few people.
Sahib al-Kahf. Man, like,
So I was speaking to a few people who come down every month to the events from like 2 hours away, 3 hours away. I know people who have driven 5 hours just to get here for the events. And when we're having these conversations, it's the reason why they come to this is because they don't feel like they can find it anywhere else where they can come and just be themselves. So the point of me mentioning
And it goes deeper than just speaking
the point of me
language
mentioning
as well.
this is not just to plug the cave, which obviously is a benefit to this, but like these kind of initiatives and spaces need to exist everywhere. Everybody needs to be able to belong somewhere. No matter where they are in their journey, you can go somewhere and you don't feel like, oh, you're not wearing a headscarf, you don't have a beard, your trousers are below your ankles, therefore you're not.
This
you're
is
never
not.
gonna find
I know this is not the case, but then someone will throw back at you, and I just want you to get it on camera.
Yeah.
But people are gonna say, but then obviously I don't feel included in your places. Then I might be a
So,
Naqabi.
yeah.
You lot have string instruments.
that's a
you
very
lot have
good
string
point.
instruments. You lot have men and women close together. I wanna feel.
that's a
I don't
very
want to
good
go to the mosque.
People have said this
but I
to
want to
me.
be around young Muslims. Why are you not? I don't feel inclusive in your
Okay,
thing.
people have said this to me. They said that, look, we think that you have free mixing, which we don't, by the way.
Stop that.
Stop, you forget that because
Because at the end of the day, we're not DJs, innit?
Yeah.
Free mixing means you're at 2 turntables and you're mixing without listening to
anyway,
it.
look. So people are saying if people don't
That's
feel,
not free mixing.
if
Nonsense.
people don't feel included, firstly, we do have people that like they like people that are women that wear niqabs, women that wear hijab, women that don't wear hijab, guys who have beards, guys who don't have beards. But the point is, the spaces that those people are trying to look for, where it's completely segregated, where the guys can't see the girls can't see the guys, the women can't see the imam. Those spaces have existed in this country since Islam came here.
Yeah.
Every single mosque is like that.
But they didn't
Every
exist
single
when
mosque
the
is
Not
like
every
that.
single mosque, but yeah.
Yeah, well, in the sense, yeah, true. fair enough, fair
Hyperbole.
enough.
One
But they didn't exist in the Prophet's mosque.
One interesting one, yeah. Indeed, I have not been sent down other than to perfect manners, and indeed, I have not been sent down other than to complete manners in a different understanding. That's a solid narration, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, we as Muslims, regardless of whatever understanding you have, your core understanding is you're here to perfect your etiquette with yourself, with Allah, and with humanity, right? So, with these differences in sex, we've degraded that core value without etiquette with one another. We should have spaces, honestly, where people come together and you communicate with one another. And you should be able to exchange norms and values via conversation without causing offense and being offended and communicating from that space. If people cannot operate in that way, you're not following the core etiquette of the Prophet. And that's why we have the pathologies that we have. Like,
Even on a lesser scale, like me and my friend, we have a difference of opinion on basketball legends, and it gets actually quite intense. Where I will call him names. I believe Michael Jordan is the greatest. He believes LeBron James is the greatest. His opinion's wrong, and that's fine, and he can move with that. But the thing is, because we're friends on so many other levels, based on life, on everything else. I know it like the two basketball thing isn't as great as religion, etc. But it's still that thing. Because we share so many similarities and so many other beliefs that we believe, it's enough for us to still be able to be like, okay, we're still best friends and we have mad love for each other. We just disagree with each other on this thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And the thing is, I'm saying if your love is not to a level when to a level of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when you love him so much that you can't love then you don't love him. Then that's what I mean.
But then again, how can I love what Allah and His Messenger love? Yeah, and I hate for the sake of Allah only. And I hate for the sake of Allah.
Okay.
How can I be loving?
And they think that
now-
you're misrepresenting the Prophet
Exactly.
ﷺ as well, so they're going to say we have a right to hate that because we're hating you because of our love for the Prophet.
but your hate comes
Exactly.
from absolute.
I was gonna.
I feel like with this, there's no way of going around it because at the end of the day, there are people out here that because of their religious standpoint, they feel like I can't have affinity with you because you're an enemy to Allah and the Prophet. Even though you're calling yourself a Muslim, for them, you're not considered a Muslim or you're not considered a Muslim to the same level as them. And I feel like that is something that you can't get around. How can you say, oh yeah, well, we should all be unified and we should all have unity when no one's giving other people the space to allow their interpretation to be acceptable
But
and
did
not.
the Prophet only love Muslims?
No, like, of course he didn't.
Exactly. And it's like
Married non-Muslim.
married non-Muslims, loving non-Muslims, and you're meant to follow him.
No, but I feel as well. I feel like obviously sectarianism is always going to exist since the beginning of Islam. However, I feel like the points of like the hadith, man qala la ilaha illa Muhammadur Rasulullah dakhala al-jannah. Whoever says la ilaha illa Muhammadur Rasulullah enters paradise. You know what I mean?
I'm on that.
I think these kind of hadith are more emphasized. But to be fair, keeping it real, again, this could be my skewed interpretation of what I'm reading, but I feel like young people in the West are moving away from that.
Proper.
Much more now.
Yeah,
People are burnt out.
They're tired. They're like, this is
Globalization.
Yeah, let's go debate. I'm tired. I'm tired.
People want God.
Right, think about it though.
so
Back in the
tired.
day, if you see it, think about it. Back in the day now, human beings would connect with each other slowly. You'd have a village here. You probably know the village over there. You wouldn't have enough time to know everybody over here.
Yeah.
In the last 20 years, we've become a globalized community. So now, the Bangladeshi belief system of Islam got slapped right next to the Somali, that got slapped right next to the Saudi, and they've just been battling for a long time because we have to exchange till we're at peace with each other, and that breaks down over time.
I find it interesting how hadith that are relating to what you was talking about, core values, are rarely the hadith that are brought into question as to, this isn't Sahih, or you know, say the hadith about, you know, smiling is an act of charity. It's like, that wasn't you know, Sahih one. It's like, it was like, yeah, because it doesn't really affect anyone's sense of self or sense of you know, whatever sector they represent. It's like, okay, well, yeah, or it's you know, you get a good deed for, you know, whoever helps his brother, Allah helps him on the, you know, Yom Qiyamah. I don't know if that's a hadith, but these sort of hadith are never brought into question and never kind of what's the word, brought under scrutiny. But when it's hadith which are very dividing, that's where everyone's got the opinion on. But it's like, so shouldn't we be like moving our energy towards the ones which we can all agree upon? And is it not a testament of their importance that everyone sort of agrees on them anyway? The ones the ones about charity, the ones that universal core values. These are the ones. I was like, that's pretty sahih. So shouldn't we be like going towards them ones as opposed to this one where it could be, maybe not, maybe you said it, maybe you didn't?
I feel like in our day and age, especially, those are the things that we need to focus on the most. Because we're never gonna agree on Aqidah, we're never gonna agree on like innovation, we're never gonna agree on fit, but we can all agree on the fact that we need to be decent human beings and treat people with respect. And I feel like that is what's lacking. I don't have a problem with people who interpret Islam in whichever way their scholars have taught it to them. So I don't have a problem with Salafis, I don't have a problem with all these other sects. I have a problem when you feel like you're the gatekeeper of Jannah, and because this person has an earring, or this person has a tattoo, or this person celebrates Mawlid, you're going to dash them in the hellfire, and you have secured your place, and therefore you're going to attack them. And it's really bad dawah as well, because it's like, I remember I was watching a video of this guy, someone sent me the video, and then the person was like, he was attacking this group of people and calling them shayateen. They're not even Muslims, yeah? They're people who are not Muslim, they're not part of your community, they're not whatever. So it's not obligatory upon them to agree with your religious principles. Music is a part of their culture, whatever they're doing is a part of their culture, and they don't know any better than what they're doing. This person was saying, if you're a Muslim and you're associating with these shayateens, you'd rather go with these devils, these blah, 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 da, 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 and cursing, all this hate, all this anger towards this group of people. Okay, if you then wanted to now come to them and tell them about Islam, or you now wanted to come and teach them about Tawheed and teach them about the Prophet, they'll look at your video and be like, but weren't you calling us devils yesterday? Why would I come and join a religion that tells me that I'm a devil and I'm unworthy of God's love and God's mercy?
I don't even know about this thing in
because I don't even know about this thing, and then when they want to know about this thing, you're being attacked. So it's like, what kind of image does that give? And is that the case with other communities? Like, I'm West African. How Islam spread in West Africa was through people coming to trade, people interacting with Muslims, realizing that, okay, they're nice people, they have knowledge that we can benefit from, interacting to the state where they now started to convert to Islam.
To the point right now.
You will never get that in a community where you don't even mix with the people. You don't want to educate the people. You just want to either curse them from your Instagram account or your Twitter account, or meet them up in the park and try and fight them because you don't agree on principles. Like, I feel like it's disgusting. The thing that people need to emphasize the most is character. The Prophet ﷺ said, I wasn't sent here except to perfect character. And it's like, if you're not, whatever ideology you follow or whatever sect you think you're from, if you don't have the human decency to like address another human being in a respectful manner, whether you agree with them or you disagree with them, and you resort to cursing them and saying that they're going to hellfire and all of these kind of things, you're never going to move forward. Never ever going to move forward.
I think as well, what I was thinking has come in my mind now, the kind of the maturation process of thought, in the sense that, like, how when I was younger, I used to be like, even when I left Salafism and I was like, cool, I'm Maliki now, it makes sense. Having madhab makes sense, yeah, cool. But then, like, even my naivety, I still had my kind of dislike to other groups still. So like what was it? Shias, for example, the Shia, for example, or like Brahmins, or whatever it may be, because I kind of felt like, cool, now I'm a Maliki, I've accepted the premise that following madhab is good. Now there's 4 madhabs. And you can we can fall into that bubble again. It's a clique, it's another clique now.
And the thing
now
is, you keep falling into it.
I am now Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. I am the group of what is the group that is upon the Sunnah, which is the 4 madhabs and the 2 schools of law. If you're out of that now, you're not on this thing. And you know what I mean? And obviously through interaction with, like, you know, people who have affinity to the Shias, like yourself, yeah. People who love the Shia movement, and you learn about them. You know what? Yeah, same thing, same principle which is Salafis. You're never going to agree on core principles.
Yeah.
But see, people will say, how can we, like, look, okay, people will say the Shia cursed the Sahaba.
Not all of them.
But then,
Not all of them, but some do. So
some.
they're going to say, well, why am I going to unite with you now if you're cursing the people that are up?
Can I be honest? You don't know everything. We don't know everything. Tell me one person that was there directly and knows everything. We don't. So you got to remember we're people of faith, and we have to have a bit of a humility with our belief as well. And that humility, because we're not people of fact, we got called people of belief. There's something important to know about that. And have that humility, because that's what we are, to then interact with people accordingly. I don't know the absolute truth, but I'm connecting and doing my best. These people are speaking what they're speaking. Even if I don't agree with you, let me see where I can draw the good from it. At the same time, wish good upon you and do my best in conduct with you. That's what we're supposed to do.
With the whole Sunni Shia thing, it's interesting because I feel like as I've researched it and as I've looked into it, obviously I'm still like, I consider myself Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, whatever. But for me, the issue is, okay, if you look at the development of, because it's all to do with history, these are historical discrepancies, yeah? If you look at the development of the Shia school of thought, they have a completely different set of hadith books, they have a completely different set of history books, they have a completely different narrative of what happened at the time. As alongside the Sunni accounts, so there's the Sunni accounts forming in this corner and the Shia accounts forming in this corner. It's all kind of crossing over up until the period of Imam Jafar as-Sadiq, Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Malik, and then things start to splinter more solidly into this is the Sunni sect, this is the Shia sect, right? You can never prove to a Sunni the truth of Shiaism if you believe that's true, because they don't accept your sources. And then the Sunnis can never really prove to Shias the truth of Sunni Islam because they don't accept your sources. A Shia will never accept a hadith that's been narrated from Abu Huraira or Omar, and half of the deen, or Aisha, and half of the deen of the Sunnis are coming through those channels. Do you know what I mean? They're coming through Abu Huraira hadith, through Aisha hadith. So you will never unite. The same way, Sunni sources, whenever you bring something from a Shia source to say, oh, it's a Shia source, it's fabricated. Do you know what I mean? So it's like there will never be unity on that thing. The only thing you can unite on is the fact that you both believe in the Quran, you both believe that Ahlul Bayt were good people, and then that's it. So I remember like one of our teachers in West Africa, there was a tour where a big Shia leader called Musa Sadr, this was in the 70s, he came to Senegal and he was doing a tour, and then the Sheikh invited him to his village. So when he came to the village, he prayed in the masjid, whatever. Everyone was attacking him and saying, how can you let a Shia come into your mosque and da-da-da-da-da. And if you research Musa Sadr, he was known for his interfaith work. So like he used to give talks in churches, he used to reach out to the Jewish community because he wanted to focus more on unity rather than diversity. Do you know what I mean? Not diversity, unity than disunity.
Ahead of his time.
Ahead of his time. So he came because there's a large Lebanese population in Senegal. So he came to Senegal, then he came to visit the Sheikh, who's a Sunni Sheikh. He was the vice president of Muslim World League at the time, Sheikh Ibrahim Niass. People were attacking Sheikh Ibrahim Niass that how could you accept the Shia in your house and in your mosque and da-da-da-da-da and whatever. He said, do you know what? I didn't even look at him as a Shia before I looked at the fact that, number one, he's a Muslim that says La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Number two, he's a scholar who's memorized the Quran, and people hold him in esteem as a scholar. His community hold him in esteem as a scholar, and you have to give people their rights. Like, if people respect somebody, you have to respect that person. And then number three, he's a descendant of the Prophet ﷺ. He traces his lineage back to the Prophet ﷺ's family. So when I combine those three aspects, I'm not going to disrespect this person just because I have difference of opinion with them. And he's somebody that, even if you look at him in his role in the world, he's a West African Maliki Sufi Sheikh. But yet, in the 60s, 1964, he's the vice president of the Muslim World League, which is a Saudi Salafi organization, essentially. And then he's also a member of the League of Scholars of Al-Azhar. Then he's also on the Council of the Ulama of Algeria. So it's like, bruh, he's not looking at what separates us and I'm going to attack you because you have difference of opinion. Because how can your West African Maliki Sufi Sheikh, and remember when we went to his nephew's house and he was telling us, I remember the day when he was sitting down drinking tea with Albani. Do you know what I mean? Who's one of the biggest, one of the biggest scholars of the Salafi movement. So it's like, that is where we need to be. Because clearly our shuyukh were civil enough with each other to sit down with each other, even if they had difference of opinion. How can Albani come to Sheikh Ibrahim? If you tell Salafis and Sufis today in Nigeria or Ghana that, Albani and Sheikh Ibrahim were having tea with each other in a hotel room, they wouldn't believe it because they're out here killing each other and fighting each other over difference of opinion. So it's like, we need to move away from, okay, this person doesn't agree with how I interpret things. Even if you believe that you're 100% right, there's still that level of human decency that you have to give to people. And how can you say, as a Muslim, for example, a Muslim man can marry a Jew or a Christian. They're not even Muslim. So then people who are also claiming to be Muslim, you have more hatred towards them than you would to Christians or Jews. And Christians believe Jesus is the Son of God still. They believe in Trinity still, and you still have to treat them with respect. It doesn't make sense for you now to come and disrespect a Muslim because they don't agree with your scholars. That don't make no sense.
Really, on a core level, man.
I think there's a lot of deep wisdoms that can be taken from the discussion, and I do agree with what Emma said about, I think we are moving away from this kind of mentality, and people are kind of becoming a lot more civil. Inshallah, that is the case, and discussions like this can help people kind of, if they were kind of falling in that direction, maybe kind of rethink, what the person that they're following, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what was he really teaching? Was he teaching this whole clique mentality of how to, save yourself, or was he teaching you how to be a good human being? So inshallah, may Allah allow us all to be good human beings and allow us to, best reflect the message of the Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in the best way that he intended. Inshallah. Thank you guys for listening. If you enjoyed the podcast, please leave a like and comment below, and we'll see you next time, inshallah. Peace and blessings.